All right, and we are on. Can I put my arm over here like this?
No.
No? Can't share? Like,
Yes, you can. Honey.
how are you?
Good. How are you?
Awesome. Just want a little bit of your warmth.
Yeah, because
So we got-
it is our sweaters time.
We got sweater. It's sweater weather.
Yeah. Here
And
in
we're
Florida,
in Florida, and
we get cold right away.
it's sweater weather. It's what today was like 75 or something. Yeah, it's getting chilly outside.
75 for people. It's gonna be like, what? They're crazy. People from Rochester might
Yeah.
think that we're crazy, or from Idaho.
Yeah, I think they're getting snow out there, and we're not even getting rain here.
No.
But we had a cold front come through, and I don't know why I'm saying this. I'm not the weatherman. Anyway, it was like 50 degrees in the morning, like 49. I think in the 40s sounds worse than the 50s, right? 49 instead of 50. But yeah, yesterday was pretty chilly, and today.
Yeah. I like this type of weather, so
Yeah, no, it's great. Just put on a sweater in the morning when I go walk my dogs, and
that's it.
that's it. It's time to go out for a run nice and early, huh? In the cold.
Yeah, we haven't run in a while. So.
Yeah.
So how you been, honey?
Awesome.
We haven't
Super.
been here in a while, people. We've been
Yes.
busy. Like
You're always busy.
I know. And it's not like we haven't been trying to miss videos. It's just our schedules right now. Either you're not here, when you're here, I don't feel like sitting here making a video. But it's not that we don't want to. It's just we also want to get, good quality stuff out there. We just don't want to sit here and give things that, are not correct. And I guess today we'll be sharing how from the beginning of our videos to now, a lot of things have changed, huh?
Yeah. And if you're just watching this video now and you've seen some of our previous videos, you'll probably say, yeah, look, Mariceli's wearing a hat. She never wears a hat.
And I'm letting him put his hand over me, huh?
Yeah, that's it's a change. It's different. Usually I shave, right, or clean it up, because I always keep my beard, but also I didn't clean it up. It's just, I did take a shower, so I am clean. I
Yes,
just,
thank you, honey.
You're welcome. Otherwise, you wouldn't let me put
No.
my arm. Yeah. But yeah, I hope you guys are doing good. And yeah, we've changed a little bit. We've changed a lot.
We trained a lot.
And that's what we're here to talk about.
Yeah, it's been I think this year has been a growing year, I think for both of us. And I guess now we could actually sit down and talk about it. And we've learned the 6 steps of communication, and that's something that we practice at our home now, because it's something that we never could have gotten after small talks.
Yeah.
We've always stayed in the first ones, small talks.
Yeah. So, and pretty much, I would say a lot of that was in my part, because maybe the times that she tried to breach the small talks and go past that, it didn't turn out too well, and so we would go back, revert back to small talk, and so we've learned, by studying and learning and changing, as we've been mentioning, right? I've learned to communicate a lot different, and I'm just getting started. I'm just beginning to learn how to do this thing. So it's not easy. It's picture a little seed growing, and a little seed, you got to water it and put it in the dirt. Sometimes you don't have to put it right in the dirt, right? Just put it in water, give it some sunlight, and you'll see the seed sprout. It'll break the shell of the seed. That shell is hard to protect the inside, which is the actual seed. And then it starts growing, and it must be painful, right, for that thing to break through that shell and then to start developing like a branch or stem and start just growing and growing. And you're not gonna let me get up and go get the little mango seed that I have over there.
No.
But I have some ideas for show and tell. But if I would have brought it before we started the video, right? I'll show you some other time. Yeah, I'll show you some other time.
But I guess that's where today we were reflecting on our growth You know, from the first video to today, it's been tough. I mean, I don't think anyone enjoys growing.
Well,
I
yeah, I
think
mean,
it's the pain
yes,
or the process that,
it's a painful process,
yes,
but I think I definitely enjoy the growing. I mean, we're enjoying maybe not the fruits of our labor, but we are having a better relationship because of the hard work, because of the pain that we went through to actually sit down and get together and work on the issues, you know,
yeah.
and learn, you know, communication and conflict resolution
Mm-hmm.
and well, and all the other things that we're working on. And I put the camera up a little, but you know, my wife is always, and she talks about that we are working. You know, she's not kidding. I mean, this notebook is full of writings and things, and that's her notebook. I have my own. I write on the iPad, and I have notebooks as
Yeah,
well.
I have a lot of
We like to
notebooks
write.
in the house that I kind of scribble down. And it's just because if I'm not practicing, I mean, even right now we're going through the transforming your marriage, and there's a lot of things that we still didn't realize about, you know, our weaknesses and our strength. And maybe there's a strength that he has that it might be my weakness, and vice versa. And even in the process of, you know, doing our own homework, doing our own work, sitting down and talking about some of these things, it projects to me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I still have so much to grow. And it's not easy at times because we tend to say, well, I'm changing, but he's probably not going to change, or I'm changing and I don't see any change in him. And that could actually be something hard, because then I'm gonna say, well, why should I change? You know, why should I start something? But I think that you have to be persistent in your change, and you don't have to change in order for your spouse to change. You know, then you're doing it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
You should do it because you want to change who you are, and because you want to grow and you want to get to know who you are. And I think that this year has been different because we're actually growing together, but in a spiritual way as well, because that's never happened in our marriage.
Yeah. And I was thinking of something else, and then you go ahead and brought the spiritual in. I just
Sorry.
but pretty much right. I mean, how can I put it? Everything is possible. Everything and anything is possible with God. So I mean, you can take it from that point always. And I think that has helped our marriage a lot as well, because it's not just, you know, reading books and learning how to resolve our conflicts and how to communicate, but it's also praying together as well. And it's just interesting, you know, that you go pray for some things and I pray for other things, and then together we, you know, when you talk about it, it's kind of hard to talk about, because you pray for things that that you want the positive, but again, the changing is difficult.
It is.
Yeah, very difficult. Like I mentioned, that seed is just as painful, actually, you know. But it's a process that we have to go through, you know. Change for the better is always good, even though you have to go through that, you know, difficult moment. I mean, because the alternative is staying with the pain of not changing, which is most likely well, not most likely, for sure it's gonna be worse if you're living with regret later on, right? What could have been, as opposed to, well, I did try, and these are the fruits of what we actually did, you know?
Yeah, that's where, again, we go back into the part of the spirituality in your life is, in order for you to grow, you have to see that growth, you know? That's when you start pruning yourself, and it's not who's pruning me, it's God who's pruning our marriage right now. And he has been pruning our marriage. You know, it's been hard, because I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh my God, it's been so lovely, it's been so wonderful. Then I'll be lying to you guys. It's been a growth for both of our parts, and it's been a growth for me because I have paid for a couple of things in our marriage, and I'm seeing things happen, and I'm seeing things change right in front of my eyes, and so I have to be also, I have to be careful with that process, that I don't mess up that process, or that I try to help God with that change. That's not who I. It's not my part to be doing that.
No, and also as we talked earlier, that part of that, when you're praying and you're expecting or praying for a change and praying for something to happen, you also have to pray. I mean, you just taught me that you have to pray to that God will prepare you for the change, because when that change comes, you need to be prepared for it. Um,
Yeah, I had to pray for that in my life as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have these myths, we believe these things that we put in our heads. Um, and there was a time that I was giving up, I felt like giving up. I'm like, he's not going to change, why am I doing this? Why am I going through this process? What's going on, God? But you know what, if you actually believe that something will happen, he does listen. Still today, God does miracles.
and I mean, and how do I put it? I mean, the pains of changing are always there,
Yeah.
right? I mean, from the beginning of our marriage, we've been married 4.5 years, and
Mhm.
we made some videos about things that happened to us, and things that we went through, right? Or things that I did, things that my wife did, and the changes. Let's say change happens gradual. Let's say, right? Some things changed for the better, but still other things changed. Or how do I put it? Right? We had some things. Let's say when we first started. Uh, what was first? Was it the infidelity, or was it the getting?
Remember?
Well, either way, let's just say so. When I went through the infidelity phase, what happened in our marriage, and we made a video about that. If you don't know about it, you can look it up. Um, but when we went through that, I mean, God came in our lives and healed. Or He let me see that yes, He does forgive, and the way I saw that was with my wife forgiving me, which I thought, well, what I did was unforgivable. It's going to be over. And so I accepted that at first, right? That she's going to forgive me, and yet that was hard in itself, because for her to start trusting again, and then once she started trusting again, for me to believe that she's actually is trusting again, and I think that was harder for me, right? And then I'd see sometimes, that she had changed, and rightfully so, but it was hard for me to think that it's ever going to get back to not a normal stage, because normal, what was normal, what was before, was what led to that. So not that was going to happen, but what was going to lead to the way, let's say, the marriage was supposed to be, just to put it that way, I guess. The way the marriage was supposed to be was, I thought it was too difficult, right? That it was just too much that I had to endure. Me, I'm the one who caused it. Now she's forgiving me, and it's a process for her. And then I also started like, whoa, well, this is hard now, And at that point, again, change. With that situation, she changed, I changed, we both changed, and we grew, right? And our marriage, right? And we ended up, our love became stronger then, not right after, but, soon after, working through that. And then a little bit later, then something else happens, and I think your situation maybe was first, but either way, you see that the same thing happened when the incident happened with you, that you were hospitalized, and that situation, locked up, and it just the same thing. After that, we ended up being stronger, but still something else happened after that, right? And then we worked, let's say, through those two things, and we were good a couple of months, let's say, and then other things happened aside from that, and yeah, when we would communicate, we weren't communicating right, so we had to learn then how to communicate, and you see, even though, so you change and you grow and you moving in the right direction, right? But we grew this much, I mean,
Like maybe.
there's so much to grow, and
Yeah.
yeah, we grew maybe that much, and then the next thing happened, and we grew another little bit much, like this, and little by little we're growing and getting there, right? But it's a never-ending process.
Yes, it is, and that's when your belief systems will help you. You know, if you have a belief system that you follow something, you know, to the T, pretty much. I like to follow my beliefs in God, and I believe that prayer changes people. Prayer breaks change. Prayer breaks through the strongholds. I mean, prayer does a lot, and I live that in my life. I'm constantly trying to be better in the morning. I wake up in the morning, and who do I thank first? God, thank you for my life. Thank you for this day, because I used to be miserable. I used to hate waking up in the morning because I didn't have any joy, I didn't have any peace. And I'm learning that how can people serve God and not have that joy in their lives and not change because of what Jesus did for us in the cross. That change was what changed my life from where I was 4.5 years ago to even this year. I mean, this year has been, whew, it's been a year for us. I mean, we could sit here and say how a lot of things, but we're not, because we're still going through a few of those things. But we could actually talk about those things that we've gone through. And
And again, like a lot of these things are painful.
It's been pain. This year has been.
Again, we're breaking that shell, you know, and
Yeah.
our stems are starting to come out of that seed, you know, and it's a painful process, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, eventually,
Yeah.
years, right? I mean, you know, we don't want to be weeds that we're grow today, you know, in a couple of days and then be thrown into the fire later on. We want to be that big, let's say, oak tree, or you know, a big tree, and it's going to take
Storm
years,
heads,
yeah, with deep roots.
Mm-hmm.
And for that, you know, I mean, from that little seed, you got to, you know, those roots got to go deep, and your stems got to go up high.
Yeah. And I think God has been taking both of us in that process together, because it used to be by myself. It was by myself for a few years, but now the growth is us together. And still today, we might disagree to agree on certain things, but we've learned to, you know what, respect each other's opinions. And I've grown on that because, I couldn't stand his opinion sometimes. And I'll be like, no, you are incorrect. And that used to bother me. But now is to the point where, you know what? I see his perspective and I see his view on certain things. And I've also changed on that. Where I don't get upset, you know? And you have to let those changes happen in your life. And do our environment have changed? I think our environment has completely changed. And we've changed with that process. Where right now I tell people we're going to a transition in our marriage, in our lives, and where God is taking us. But it's a never-ending growth.
Mm-hmm. You're right. I mean, some of that you just mentioned is in the Transforming Your Marriage program that
Yes.
we're doing, which is based off John Maxwell, and some of his teachings, some of his books, and some of his laws, and pretty much, you know, we've been growing, and it's been helping us, and like you mentioned about our environment, you know, we haven't moved out of our environment, but we've changed our environment
In a lot of ways, I mean,
in many ways.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, in lots of ways where we constantly we wake up in the morning, and I can't wait because now he wants to pray in the morning, and that's been something that I long for, and it's happening, and I see it, and I'm like, wow, God, you're doing this, you're in our marriage. Even though last week we were going through something, but it's a growing process. Even this week, we've gone through some things that we're actually sitting down, we're talking about it, and we're fixing it. You know, instead of ignoring it, we used to ignore things.
Yeah.
We used to ignore a lot of things in our marriage.
In a lot of aspects, I guess we were normal, right? I guess we still are normal,
Hmm.
but we're trying to change that, right? We don't want to be normal. I don't want to be normal. Um,
Well,
you know,
I
we've
mean,
made a lot of videos and a lot of things that we've talked about, and you know, just going through some of the stuff that we're studying now. You know, we've talked about a lot of these things already. You know, I mean, it's
hmm.
just we're just learning more about them, and about new things uh, that I just, you know, again, it's a painful process, guys. It's not easy. You know, it's not easy, um, but it's definitely worth it. So don't think that you can't change. Don't think your marriage situation can't change. Don't think, you know, because it's been 10 years, you
Yeah,
know, of going through this, you know, and some of you guys are probably thinking, well, you know, as soon as the kids leave, well, then hey, we'll get divorced, we'll separate because we've grown so far apart, and that's not that, you know, that shouldn't be even an option.
they shouldn't. I mean, that should be the last option.
It shouldn't
If
even be an
no,
option.
yeah,
You know, there's so many other things that you can do, and you know, read books to figure it out. You know, there's YouTube. You know, I mean, you really got to dig through some of this stuff. You know,
yeah,
Google,
you have to.
whatever you're looking for, just, you know, and you'll find different answers, different perspectives. You know, people that have been helped, people that can help you, and if that doesn't work, you know, then talk to people. You know, I mean, go to your church, talk to people. You know, send us a message if you want us
Hmm.
to talk to you guys, and but you know, we've been through. We mentioned some of the problems here today, and some of you guys are probably saying, "Wow, well, our problem is not even, you know, not even, you know, 1/10 of what they went through."
Yeah.
But and some of you guys might be saying, "Well, hey,
That's
our
what they,
problems are
yeah.
not. Yeah, you know, what they went through is nothing compared to what we're going through." And hey, and everybody goes through something, you know, and
And it's a process, like he said, it's a learning process. But I think for us, I think what helped um, more recently was understanding our relationship with God first.
mm,
Um, and I think it was also reading the Bible.
yeah. Well, we've been reading the Bible for a long time, and since we started these videos, I
Yeah,
think we let you guys know that we've been reading the Bible and
but not just reading it, but like literally talking about what,
questioning
yeah,
and
questioning
not
and
well by questioning, yes, you know, asking questions,
mhm.
right? Of course,
Yeah, what do you think
asking.
about that verse, or how does that reflect in our lives? And I think a book that really impacted our marriage recently was by Francis and Lisa Chan. That really, that book was a major part in our marriage this year. I think it's been a growth process, and it was kind of hard to listen to a lot of, you know, his teaching and what he was talking about in a marriage.
Yeah.
But we went through it, we studied it, and we, he read it 4 times. I mean, he heard that book 4 times, and still today I sit here and we're doing this video today. I think we're actually, um, I'm doing it more from my heart, not just because I have to do a video, because sometimes we could fall into a routine pattern. So even if we don't do a lot of videos every single day, it's because we're actually working on certain things. We don't want to just come out here and just, you know, talk about nonsense, but talk about what is the reality of a marriage with God. Because we've seen couples and we've heard couples that it's sad when they say they're miserable or they're sad and there's no joy. Where is God in that marriage? I guess.
And we were miserable too in our marriage, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a reality of, you know, the day-to-day lives, you know, the what we do every day. You know, we have to work, we have to take care of our families. You know, we get so caught up in that becomes our lives. You know, and something that I heard somewhere recently. I don't know if, you know, which book, or I mean, I've heard this before, right? About, I think it's 80 to 85% of Americans, and of course we're here in Florida, we're in America, so we're talking about Americans. Uh, hate their jobs.
Mm.
You know, it's something that you do every day. You spend, you know, at least 40 hours a week there, right? You spend 5 days a week probably. You spend more time at work than you spend with your family, and you know they're miserable and they don't want to change that. You know, because probably because of fear, um, but it's also being comfortable, right? Once you get to a point where you're comfortable, but how comfortable can you be if you hate your job? You know what I mean? And then on top of that, if that transfers over to your marriage and now you hate your marriage,
Mm.
how how comfortable is that? You know, to stay there, to stay comfortable.
Yeah,
And by stay there, I don't mean, you know, divorce. Again, that's not an option. It's get up and make a change. You know, make a change in you. And if I make a change in me, it'll make a change overall in the marriage. If she makes a change in her, it'll make a change overall in the marriage. And eventually, with her changing, it's going to want to make me change. At the beginning of our marriage, you were going through some things, right? And we said, hey, you know, read some books.
Mm-hmm.
I was telling you, read some
Yeah.
books. And you started reading books. Yeah, I remember you told me, oh, I've never read a full book ever. I never read a full book. And I'm like, well, you know, I mean, I had read some books, but also, you know, recently in the last 10 years or whatever, I'm 42 now, you know, last 10, 15 years, maybe 12 years, I don't know. But I read some books and then the same, I was like, well, it's easy, just, you know, one chapter a day, right? 5 pages a day, whatever, till eventually the book is going to be done, you know, and then you'll finish your book. And I remember when you finished your first book and you were like, yeah, I finished the book.
Mm-hmm.
And how many books since then have you finished, you know, like, again, because she wants to make a change. So at that point, I try to inspire a change in her. I was making changes in me as well. Then maybe I stopped with my changes, and then you kept on going with your changes. That made me motivated to make changes as well. Even with the exercising,
Yeah.
I started at one point running and doing some exercise, and then I kind of slowed down. Then you went to your 90-day challenge, and
Mm-hmm.
you were over there doing so much, and I was like, wow, well, now I'm gonna be left behind. So let me start exercising again, and I started exercising as well.
And then I went another challenge,
Then you went another
a
challenge.
100-day challenge. That was tough.
Yeah.
You know?
But you know, by doing these things, when I with just the example of exercising, right? But again, it could be spiritual, reading books, it could be whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But in our, it could be picking up a new hobby. But in our case, it was just you know, with exercising. Let's say, right? So when I started exercising, it made her motivated to start exercising. Then maybe I slowed down because of things that were going on, other stuff that I was doing. Then I see her going, and I'm like, well, now that motivated me to start exercising again.
Mm-hmm.
And then me going, and you know, she slows down and motivates her. So it's a, if I grow, she grows. If she grows, I grow. We grow the marriage together.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, so use that example for everything. I mean, when you want to read books to learn, maybe you want to pick up a new hobby, pick it up with your spouse. You know, reading the Bible is definitely going to help. So you know, read books, read the Bible as well, and ask questions. You know, question each other and ask questions about the Bible. God, I think likes that His children ask questions because He wants you to know. And how are you going to know if you don't ask questions? If I read something and I say that's what it says, and somebody else tells me no, it says something else, and I tell you, hey, well, I read it, that's what it says. Maybe I'm wrong. Am I going to stay stuck in my wrong belief? I could at least ask to see why you think it's that way and have a discussion, right? And if I feel a certain way that maybe I'm not sure, then I'll go ask somebody else, somebody who knows more, right? Maybe a minister, a pastor, somebody who has more knowledge, right? And go higher and higher, and eventually you're going to go higher and higher as well. Yeah, so.
And that's what's been going on recently with us.
Yes. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys enjoyed my wife's hat. I think it looks so cute and she looks so beautiful with that hat on.
Thank you, man.
You do. I was gonna go get a hat too, but I don't like hats. I usually wear like a cap, but no, I don't even wear a cap.
No, you don't.
I don't like it.
I wear a lot of hats.
Even though my hair is all messy, I take a shower, I didn't fix it or anything. I
You
didn't
look
shave.
good. You're all natural today.
Yeah, I figured let me just get comfortable, natural, at home. We got a sweater weather, right?
Yes, yes.
Being 75 outside, it's a little nippy out there. I got my coffee. I'm gonna see where I left it.
So thank you for being here.
Yes, I hope it's not too long. It's probably like 45
hopefully,
minutes.
hopefully it's not. Thank you for growing our page. Keep sharing our pages. You know, I get happy when somebody from a different state actually contacts us and they they get inspired, they want to learn, you know, the process, and that's what we want to do. You know, we want to start that spark.
Yes, and we're here to help people. We just met a lovely couple from upstate New
Yep,
York,
yep.
and we went on a Zoom call with them, and we were there for almost like an hour.
Almost
I
an
think.
hour, yeah. We spoke
Yeah, we
to
spoke with them
and-
for a while. And we enjoy meeting people, talking to people, and we're here to help. If you have any problems in your marriage, you have questions about marriage, we don't know it all. We're learning, but we definitely want to help you.
Yes. And if we don't know it, we'll ask breakwater coaching.
Yes, we'll take it.
Yeah,
Higher
we'll take
and
it
higher.
higher.
And
right.
you know, there's no question that cannot be answered. So just ask, and we'll look it up because we want to learn as well. So.
Yeah. All right, that's it. Have a good one, guys, and thank you for being here.
Bye, guys.